Hi, Mr. Eaton here with Year 7 video lesson 3.11, and it is called the number plane and graphs. And as always, don't forget to write some notes in the study notes section of your exercise books, and also to put the video on pause whenever you need to do this, and also when you're doing some of the video questions. A number plane is used to represent position in 2 dimensions and therefore requires 2 coordinates. Basically, it's a Cartesian plane, if you remember what a Cartesian plane is. And a Cartesian plane has a horizontal line, which is your x-axis, and also a vertical line, which is your y-axis. And where the 2 intersect, that point over there, is actually called the origin. And I'll show you the graph in 2 slides' time, so don't get too worried about that at the moment. The position of a point on a number line is given as a pair of numbers known as coordinates of the point, and coordinates are always written in brackets with the 2 numbers separated by a comma, so 2, 4, and they're both in brackets. Now the x coordinate is always written first, and the y coordinate is always written second. Alright, well, this is what a number plane looks like. Alright, so these numbers down the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9, those are generally, or that is called our x-axis, and the numbers that are going up over here, that is called our y-axis. And where the 2 axes meet, the x and the y axis meet, which is over there, that is called the origin, and we normally just put a little O there to represent origin. And that's pretty much it, really. Always remember the first number in the bracket is always on the x-axis, and the second number in the bracket is on the y-axis. So when we plot, we always plot x first. So we go to 2, for example, and if it's 2, 1, it'll be 2 on the x-axis. We look on the y-axis, we see where 1 is, we go across, and that point over there would actually be 2.1. Okay. And we denote that by putting a 2, 1 in brackets. Alright, well, why don't you have a go at trying to plot these numbers on the number plane. So we want point A to be 2, 5, so that's on the x-axis is first, so the 2 is on the x-axis, and then up to 5 on the y. Point B is 4 and 3, and C is 0 and 2. Now hopefully you got some grid paper so you can draw this all up, but if you don't, just draw up some lines and draw it so it looks very similar to this. Put the video on pause and give it a go at plotting those particular points. Alright, well, how did we go? Let's look at point A. We need to go to 2 on the x-axis and 5 on the y-axis. So I need to go to this point over here on the x-axis first. So 2 on the x-axis, and then I need to have a look at where 5 is on the y-axis. So this is the y-axis over here. Where's number 5? 5's over there. So I'll put my little dot marker over there for the moment. Now where do these 2 points meet? Well, let me just imaginarily draw some highlighting points. So they actually meet over there. Alrighty. So that over there we will now call point A. Alrighty. Right, so let's look at point B. We need to go to 4 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. So we're going to go to 4 on the x-axis, which happens to be there, and 3 on the y-axis, which happens to be there. So let's imaginarily draw up our markers. Alrighty, so that point over there is now going to be point B. And finally, let's look at point C. We've got to go to 0 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis. So going down to 0 on the x-axis and going up to 2 on the y-axis, join those 2 points up. So therefore this point over here is actually going to be point C. There you go. Hope you got those right. You're also often asked to solve a problem in the table before you actually plot the graph. So we've been doing some work previously on trying to solve the number patterns. So in this case it's saying, well, our output values for x are over here. We've got to add 1 to it to end up with our output, or our y value. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, simply what we do is we substitute our inputs values. So 0 plus 1 is going to give me the value 1. How about the next one? 1 plus 1 is going to give me the output value 2. 2 plus 1 is going to give me the output value of 3. And obviously 3 add 1 is going to give me 4. So when I go to plot my graph now, I will say that my x value is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and my y values are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So my coordinates for this first point is going to be 0, 1. Second one is going to be 1, 2. Third one is going to be 2, 3. And the fourth one is going to be 3, 4. Okay, so there are my coordinates, my x coordinates and my y coordinates, and we can call that point A, point B, point C, and point D, for example. Alright, so there's that table that we've just done, and now we're actually going to graph it. So we're going to call these our x values, as I said, and these are our y values. There are our coordinates for the first point, those are coordinates for the second point, third point, and fourth point. Right, so let's do our first points over here. So we're going to 0 on the x-axis, and we're going to go up to 1 on the y-axis. Alrighty, so that is going to be our first point, and we're just going to put a little thing over there, and we're just going to call it point A. Alright, so let's do the next one over there. So 1 on the x-axis, which is that point over there, and we've got to go to 2 on the y-axis, and where did they meet? That's where they meet over there. So we were going to call that now, that point over there, point B. Can't quite see it because it's a green color. Alright, so let's do the next color, which is that one over there. So we're going to 2 on the x-axis, and we're going to 3 on the y-axis, and where do they meet up? They meet up at that particular point over there. So that we'll call point C. And lucky last, that one over there. So 3 is our starting point on our x-axis, and 4 happens to be our starting point on our y-axis, and we'll draw imaginary lines, and that point over there is now going to be point D. Alright, so we've plotted all of our points, point A, point B, point C, and point D. Hope you got that all right. And if you're unsure about anything that we've just done, please go back over the notes and have a re-go. This is definitely going to be important a little bit later on. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of this lesson.